In this tutorial, we'll learn how to use the Language Style Matching plugin for the Butter text analysis software. What this plugin will do is take transcript data that we've already separated using some of these other plugins and calculate pairwise LSM scores between each person within the transcript. Now, language style matching is a concept that's had a good amount of research at this point. And really what it's doing is measuring the degree to which two people are synchronizing how they're using function words. Now this can capture a lot of different important psychological phenomena. For example, how much two people are paying attention to each other. And there's been good research that shows that language style matching is important for understanding how people are interacting with one another, how they feel about each other, and so forth. Now, for the most part, this is a very simple plugin to use. I'm not going to go into too many of the specifics for how we set up these other plugins to get to that point, because each of these other plugins has its own tutorial video. Now, for this tutorial, I'm going to use a version of the Cornell Movie Corpus. And what we have here are just a bunch of text files with transcripts inside, and this is a pretty standard format. On each line we have the speaker and their text. So really what we want to do is aggregate up all the text by each speaker and then calculate language style matching scores between each person's text. Now this is a fairly straightforward process. We'll go ahead and load in these transcript files. And then we'll separate out the conversations using the Conversation Splitter plugin. Now I've already gone in ahead of time and gotten everything that I'll need to set up this plugin. Specifically, I used the Detect Speakers and Transcript plugin to figure out what are the names and speaker tags for all of these people in this data set. So I've already got this file, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy these in and paste them into this box. Now we have this group data object coming out of here, and we can calculate language style matching on any group data object. Now you don't need to necessarily follow this format depending on your data set. So for example, I've got another version of this data set here. And let's see how quickly we can get this to open up. Let me go ahead and make this a bit easier to read. So here's a version of the same data set where we have the text within each movie and then separate fields or separate columns for each text. So if we want to calculate LSM scores between text 1 and text 2, text 1 and text 3, and text 2 and text 3 within each file separately, that's very doable. You would use, in that case, the Read Text from CSV plugin so that we read in this CSV file, and then we would just use the Group Data Packager. So that will then take each of these texts and package them up as a separate person per row. Now you can learn more about those specific steps and how to do that with other data sets by looking at the tutorial videos specifically for the Group Data Packager plugin. We'll skip over that for now. Just know that we're loading in the transcripts. We're separating out each transcript so that we get separate text for each person. Then we're calculating language style matching scores in between each person. And you can see there's a few citations here for this plugin as well if you want to learn more about the research on language style matching. Now from here, we just need to save the output to a CSV file. And what we're going to do is, let me go ahead and pull this up. We'll go ahead and just create a new file named LSM. And we'll run this. And it should go pretty quickly. And it looks like it worked. Let's go ahead and sort this really quickly. So let's look at this output real quick. So here we have the text ID. So this is all from the same text file or from the same transcript. And you can see as we scroll down, we'll go across all these different transcripts. So let's just look at the output for this first transcript. Segment ID tells us who are the two people, what pair of people does this row belong to. Then it tells us the first speaker, the second speaker, the word count for each person, and then the LSM score between these two people. So we get a separate LSM score for these two people, Walter and Bianca, Walter and Michael, Walter and Sharon. For each of these pairs of people, we can get a different language style matching score. Now you may also want to pay attention to the word counts for person 1 and person 2 on each line. If someone has too low of a word count, you might want to not put too much weight on this LSM score. Or if one person has a really, really large text and one person has a relatively small text, then you might also want to omit that data from your analyses. But that all depends a lot on what it is that you're working with, what types of tests you're going to run, and so on. There's no set rules for when a word count is too high or too low. Just know that this is something you may want to pay attention to, especially if you have somebody that just has one word or maybe two words compared to a normal amount of text for the other person. And that's it. That's how you use the language style matching plugin for Butter.